everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Picking and Putting. Dr. Z here in the St. Andrews local studio, along with Liberty Bill in the South Charlotte attic. How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing great. I didn't spend 6 hours out on the golf course today like some of the pros did.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. In fact, watching that, the luck of the draw is probably was early late, meaning the guys that went off late they turn around and go right back out tomorrow morning, depending on their times. So there were guys finishing at 9 o'clock because the sun doesn't set it doesn't set for more than an hour, and it sets at like 11 o'clock. So
is that right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, guys go out after work and have tee times at 8 o'clock and play 9 holes, 18 holes, whatever. So it's crazy.
Wow. Wish we could do that.
Yeah, I wish we could do that. Well, I thought we'd start out this week and give credit to Bill. He had the idea on this, talking about the song Baker Street. And I don't know if you old folks out there, if you know anything about Baker Street, but it's a city in London. But this song was written by a Scotsman, so that makes it unique. And he was born in a place called Paisley, which I can't remember if that's Scotland or England, to be honest with you. But anyways, long story short, Gerry Rafferty. And he wrote this song in 78. Okay. And what's unique about that too, is that's the year Jack Nicklaus won the Open at St. Andrews.
Wow. A lot of synergies.
Yeah, there you go. We got the synergies flying here. So he wrote this song, and what it was is he had a band that was called Steelers Wheel.
Yes, stuck in the middle with you.
Okay, and so they broke up in 75, but they had all this legal wrangling. So he would ride the train every week from Glasgow to London to meet with the attorneys between 75 and 78. And he'd stay at this buddy's house who had a flat on Baker Street. And so they would spend all night playing music and, doing guitar riffs and stuff on their guitars. And that's where he came up with this song, Baker Street. And it's very cool. It got to number one, and it was number one on one series called Cashbox, but on Billboard, it got to number 2. It would have gotten to number 1. Here's another little insight. Except Casey Kasem, who had Billboard Top 40 every weekend. He was my age group. We all listened to Casey Kasem.
Oh, he was still around in the 90s. He had a hell of a run.
Yeah, and he was out of LA, I think. He was.
Yes.
Like, Ryan Seacrest kind of took over that kind of market.
Yep.
But anyway, so he had this show, and he was going to move up to number 1 on the Billboard charts. This song. And what happened was, since he was an employee of Billboard, Andy Gibbs' manager said, if you bump him back to number 2, he's not going to appear at the Billboard concert next month. And we're going to withdraw Andy Gibb from the show. So story goes, they left Andy at number 1 and he stayed at number 2 on the Billboard charts.
That's great.
So, whatever. I thought that was a good story. And then in 1978, it received the Ivor Novello Award for the best musical, both song musically and lyrically, and it was famous for its saxophone riff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what made it famous. Now here's another little tip for you, for anybody who knows the song. It's based on a 1956 book called The Outsider by Colin Wilson that explored the ideas of alienation and creativity.
Very cool.
Very inside. You got to go back and read the lyrics if that means anything to any of you. Okay. It was recorded in 1978 in the Chipping Norton Studios. And Rafferty died in 2011. He was born in 47, I think. He was 63, and he died of liver disease. They don't tell you whether that, it could have been any. It doesn't mean that he was. I'm sure alcohol was involved, but who knows? It could have been other stuff. So I'm not gonna go into that. But that's kind of the history of that song. I thought that was a good choice. Liberty Bill came up with that one. And I thought, man, you start going and exploring these things. It's really cool.
I love that song. The first time I heard that song was actually the cover version by the Foo Fighters back in the 90s. The Foo Fighters, I would recommend go listen to their version. It's just they took the spirit of Baker Street and they just slightly modernized it for the 90s. And the way Dave Grohl does the vocals, I actually prefer that version. No disrespect to Mr. Rafferty. His version is amazing. And folks, once you put this song on, you'll recognize it, and it will not escape your head for the next 12 hours. And the next road trip you go on, you're going to want to listen to it. And the other reason I wanted to bring this song into the pod today was the new addition here in Charlotte, North Carolina, Mr. Baker Mayfield.
Oh, there you go.
I got to give the Panthers credit. In a vacuum, they played this negotiation and this process about as well as you could. You got Baker basically for a 4th-round pick if he plays. You got some of his salary being eaten by the Browns, and yeah, who knows? But did you see how much the Vegas over-under win total moved with the news?
No, 3 games.
From 5.5 to 6.5 wins. So while I think Baker is a huge upgrade on Sam Darnold, I keep anybody who broaches this topic with me, Baker's not going to save this entire roster and this coach and all that.
Well, the only thing I would say about that, 2 things. Yes, they got him for a steal. He gave up a couple million. They'd pay $5 million. Browns paid 10, but because he was guaranteed 18.5 or something. But 2 things there. If incentivized, if he plays 70% of the downs or something, he gets his full. The Panthers are on the hook for another $3 million, which
he will, barring injury. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say that the fan base will, if anybody thinks he's not going to be the starter on day one, they're crazy.
Yeah. There's no competition. People keep talking about a competition. There's no competition.
And I think the fan base will be energized. And I think with the receiving corps, if the running back McCaffrey stays healthy, they can win 9-10 games. I mean, that's definitely in the realm. And here's the other thing about it. And this is what pro athletes, for a fact. Okay. He's playing for his career.
Yeah, he is.
And so if he has a great year and the Panthers win, let's say they do win 9 games or 10, which is a significant improvement. Just throw that out there. Then he's got his contract. Now they may not pay him 40, but he's going to get 25 to 30 for so many years. And it could be the Panthers or it could be somebody else.
And that actually concerns me, like playing this out, because I do think that's best case scenario is they get to 9 or 10 wins. And that does concern me. That would keep Matt Rule's job, and they would have to keep Baker Mayfield.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope with Scott Fitterer, since he's been there as GM, they've been really disciplined with their spending. So I would hope they handle that negotiation the right way, because they don't need to overpay for Baker. Like if someone else wants to go crazy, and to your point, give him $35 million a year, like 5-6 years, let the other team do it. This guy has not had a consistent track record to merit that salary at this point.
Well, here's the other thing I heard on Sports Talk when I was going to get my hair cut today. The guy, I thought, well, this is a good insight I hadn't heard. So Fitterer came from Seattle.
Yep.
Okay. Well, he said their mechanism was to do just exactly what they're doing here. You kept putting a fix. And he said, if you understand how they found their main quarterback,
Russell Wilson,
he was in the 3rd round.
Matt Corral.
So that's their hope, is that's how that would go down. But, on the other side of it, they're not going to spit if they win 10 games and everybody keeps their jobs, So.
And to that point, I'm more interested in training camp, because I don't believe there's a competition between Darnold and Mayfield. I want to hear and see how Matt Corral does. I think it's a long shot that he ever becomes a above average NFL starting QB, especially with that heavy RPO simple system Lane Kiffin was running in Ole Miss. But I'm intrigued. The guy's a hell of an athlete. So if we hear out of training camp that Matt Corral's got the goods, I prefer him to be the backup and just get Darnold out of here. Really.
Well, hey, here's the other deal. If that becomes a thing, they may cut Darnold.
Yeah, or trade him. Somebody might get desperate. If somebody gets hurt on another team, just get Darnold out of here.
And here's the other interesting fact I heard from Cleveland media about Baker. Baker has a photographic memory, so he probably already knows the playbook. And while he was at Cleveland, he changed offensive. He learned 3 different playbooks there.
Yes.
But they said the difference is he didn't come in early enough to meet all the buddies and all that, but he'll know the playbook from the get-go. So it'll be fun to see. I mean, the NFL, we always they make it so you talk about it year round.
Oh, yeah, they're going. And I do buy the maturity angle in terms of Baker, kind of to your point, realizing this might be my last chance.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't work out well in Cleveland. And for him to kind of like Cam Newton did last year when he returned to say, you know what, in the past, I probably ran my mouth too much, maybe didn't put in enough hours and focus in meetings. And I got to be more of a leader by example. And, I believe that people can change, and I'm optimistic that Baker himself can do that. I just hope he doesn't play too well and they give him $40 million over 6 years.
No. Well, I don't think I think his contract, if he played well, would be a 3-year, 25 to 30 million.
That sounds good.
The top of the line now is 45 to 50.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, so I'm wearing this hat here for you folks that do look at YouTube, and this is a Prestwick hat. And it says 1851. And then St. Andrews is behind us, the Royal and Ancient Clubhouse. Well, the original British Open, I think was 1853, was played at Prestwick. And I think the guy who won it was named Willie Park, but I may be wrong. And the prize for the first 6 or 7 years was a belt, like you get in WWE belt. They get a belt just like that. And even now, I think the champion, even though he gets a claret jug, he gets a belt as part of his thing. Anyways, they played it there, but it's too short now. So, and there's no way to make it longer. But this course, it's fascinating because the defense is the wind. So the wind was kind of down. Down for there is 10 to 15 miles an hour. If it blows to 20 miles an hour, that's the defense. Well, I
can confirm it was Willie Parks Sr. that won the first British Open.
Willie Parks. In fact, I think there's a plaque there on the first tee. If you ever get to Scotland, you got to play Prestwick. The first hole is the coolest hole. The trains fly by on the side, and you don't think you can keep the ball between a train and a building. I mean, it's the coolest thing ever.
And is it a 12-hole course?
No, it's 18 holes.
Oh, but the first one they played was
the first. Back then, there's just so much history there. It's if you're a golfer, you got to put that on your bucket list. It starts with this place right here in front of you. But I got a couple shout outs, and you got any?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Well, my first, I got 3 that I'll do, and then you do them. I got to do a shout out to Jack Nicklaus because I'm from Columbus. And it was very cool that he got on Tuesday. If you watch the TV version, he got inducted as a honorary citizen of the city of St. Andrews. Now, they gave out a whole bunch of honorary memberships to the RNA, which was like Lee Trevino. Very cool. That was very honorable too. But for Jack, the only 3 people ever, think about this. The only 3 honorary citizens that they've done are Americans, are Benjamin Franklin, Bobby Jones, and Jack Nicklaus.
That's an exclusive club.
And they've got a film of Bobby Jones in like 1928 or 32 or whatever the heck it was that he did it. It was later than that, 40s maybe. And it looked like an instant replay of Nicklaus 80 years later. It was to die for.
Was Ben Franklin a big golfer?
No, I think Ben was a big drinker and he enjoyed the bedroom, but I don't think he was a big.
And electricity, big electricity.
Yeah, he liked to fly. He could fly a kite. There's one thing, he was the key to flying a kite, Ben Franklin. But the other one I had was RNA for celebrating 150 years. It's just so cool the way they do stuff over there. I really get a kick out of that. And the last one is to Billy Andrade, who was named the Payne Stewart player of the year. And what that involves is for charitable things. And he's done so much for charitable thing. And so this company called Southern Company has done a new thing where they give him $300,000 in his name to put out to his charitable causes for kids.
That's great.
Yeah. So shout out to Billy Andre. Go for it.
And that award is a great thing that they keep track of that and recognize it and honor pain in that way. That's a very, very good thing.
Well, that's the one thing the PGA, you know, when they come around to all this stuff, the one thing the PGA Tour should promote more. I mean, they do, but they should promote more publicly is in terms of professional sports leagues. They give the most to charity. Now, you know, that's not to say, I mean, like Cam Newton had his own foundation and does a whole hell of a lot for the community and kids.
Still does. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And there are a lot of guys like that. That take their own money, set up their own foundations. I mean, Keekly in our local market, in every market. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
You know who does a lot? Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq. Oh, I'm telling you, you want the best comedy team for you folks out there. Put Shaq and Barkley together. They are just a hoot. They're just.
Yep.
Shaq is, you know, he's
no other sport has that.
No.
Where those guys are just made men and they can get on the air and just blast these young guys that are playing today and just say the craziest stuff and people love it. So, well, for me, actually, I got a couple of older guys to give a shout out to. 42-year-old Albert Pujols.
Oh, yeah.
39-year-old Miguel Cabrera. Major League Baseball is honoring them with the All-Star game. Pujols hasn't been there since 2016. Cabrera, I think, since 2015. These are guys that, if you're from my generation, I remember them coming up. Miguel Cabrera crushed the Cubs in 2003, really ended their season. And Albert Pujols was a Cubs killer throughout most of my teenage years. So still going to therapy, actually, from Albert Pujols. And
well, he hit 655, right, this week?
He is, yeah, he's up to, how many homers is he up to? Yes, 685.
Oh, 685.
And Miggy's got 505. And for them to still be doing it in this era with regular steroid testing and still be productive players here at the end. And I think it's really cool. The All-Star game is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be for the fans. And to do stuff like this, to let these legends, Albert's even participating in the home run derby, which I think is really cool. I hope he wins. And I just think this is what it's all about, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to watching all of it.
Well, you know, baseball is the only one that All-Star weekend I really still enjoy. The NFL, it's just a hard sell because the guys don't want to get hurt. Yeah. And the NBA just becomes a dunk fest. You know,
the game's unwatchable. Yeah.
I like the skills competition, stuff like that.
Yeah, but the superstars don't do that. So
no, they did in the beginning. They don't do it anymore. So yeah, well, thinking of baseball, just taking this off to another tangent. I listen to these guys all week. I can't understand the Anaheim Angels. I mean, you got you got two great players, but you have a generational talent.
A Babe Ruth, a modern day Babe Ruth.
A son of a gun, he is. And I mean, he's as good a pitcher as he is a hitter. And we're talking about Ohtani, and he is just, you know, I hear these guys talk and they say, either you got to put him on a team where he can get to the playoffs, or you got to bring in the players and put them around him. And the owner's got the money to do it. So
they've spent money. That's not the issue. They've just have spent it recklessly. And it seems to me that the owner, Artie Moreno, inserts himself kind of like a certain owner here in Charlotte, and doesn't let the baseball people just make decisions. And yeah, so Ohtani's a free agent after next year, after 2023. I anticipate he's going to get traded. Maybe he might get traded in the next 2 weeks. He'll definitely get traded next year. And then he'll be a free agent. And the Chicago Cubs, along with the New York Yankees, were right there 5 or 6 years ago. When he originally came, the Cubs are going to have a lot of money to spend. And I would anticipate Ohtani heading to Chicago or New York or San Francisco, something like there, and having an opportunity to win. It's really sad. Mike Trout's been the best player in baseball for the last decade. He's played in one playoff series. And that's it. It does show what I really like about baseball is you can have LeBron, you can have two of the top players. You could have LeBron James and Giannis, and nothing's guaranteed. It's a whole team. It's a 26-man roster. It's the starters. It's the relievers. It's the everyday guys. It's the bench guys. It's a 162-game marathon. And when it comes to the playoffs, it's totally random. That's what I love about it, is just the excitement and uncertainty. And the Angels are feeling that. They got two of the best players in the game, and they're not good enough.
Unless, of course, you're the California Angels going to Toronto, or the Kansas City
the
Royals going to Toronto, and you only got 16 players.
And you know what chops me about that? Whit Merrifield, who probably will get traded in the next 2 weeks, went on this long diatribe about how he's not a doctor, but he's done his research with okay, whatever. But then he said, if I was on a playoff team and we had playoff games in Toronto, well, then I would get it. Well, what? I can respect people that have principles, but
that's where you call BS. Okay, I don't have a problem with you said I'm not getting the like Kyrie or whatever.
Yeah, but whatever.
Don't turn around and say, well, if I got to get it because we're going to the playoffs, then I'll get it. Well, that isn't why you didn't get it. You didn't get it because it's just
hard to follow the logic there.
Yeah, that was just totally bogus. I didn't get that.
Well, the Royals suck, and they've sucked for a long time, and they'll continue to suck. So that's that. I do want to go to that ballpark though, and the Negro Baseball Hall of Fame, but that's a story for another day.
Don't get me going on Cooperstown, because I grew up in Ohio, and it wasn't until about 10 years ago that I went to Canton, and I was just floored, because you always see it on television. It looks so unassuming, and when you go there, it's just wonderful. And baseball, you can know nothing about baseball, and you walk in there and you feel like Shoeless Joe just walks past you in the hall. I mean, it is, and I did it when I was a kid, and I'm now 71. So just to say that for all you people out there, the hell with you, I'm not old, so whatever. But that's just crazy. Well, okay, quickly on the golf, I just want to go back to the golf, because we're talking about St. Andrews and stuff. It is one, if you've ever, it's just so much fun to watch, and it's so much fun to watch because the guys are having fun, because they're basically hitting balls down Interstate 70. The balls roll everywhere. The wind blows. They get bad bounces, good bounces. They end up in these bunkers, and I watched this guy named Victor Hovland today. He was in two bunkers where he couldn't figure out a stance. He just couldn't. He was up against the lip, and the lip was 4 feet high, and finally, he took on one of them, he took unplayable and dropped it in dead center of the bunker so that he could hit the ball out. And he got up and down for a bogey. I mean, it was phenomenal, because he took a penalty shot. So then instead of 2, he was hitting 3. But it's just fun. And then they turn around, this hole behind me, directly behind me is the 18th hole. And that's the bridge over the burn. Which that's another thing altogether. I mean, I watched the whole thing today, and I was very saddened and I've known this for Tiger, because Tiger struggled. He shot a 78, I think.
And a lot of people have a lot of money on him making the cut.
Well, I don't think he will. I mean, the cut's going to be even. He have to shoot 66, and he'll come out and play better tomorrow. He'll shoot 69 or 70, but a 66 is asking a lot. And the sad part will be, it may be that when he walks over that bridge tomorrow, that's it for him. Yeah. You know how they all wave when they go, because the next time they come back there, he definitely won't be playing competitively.
Yeah.
Unless he does it just as I'm going to play 2 rounds just so I can walk over the bridge. But my heart goes out to him, because I've said from the get-go, people don't understand. They sure, he still swings a golf club as well as he can, but the pain he endures, and he will endure for the rest of his life, he's lucky he's got a leg and that he can even walk. So if you walk him, it just, you cringe, because you can see him limping, and the stoicism that the guy shows. And he wasn't always my favorite player. But I've warmed up to him. I guess he's gotten older, and now he's got his kids and all that. But you watch him tomorrow if you get a chance. It's a real struggle, even on a flat course to walk. It's not easy. So that would be sad if that happened that way. But it's fun to watch because, like I said, the 18th hole behind us, these guys can drive it. With they were talking about, if you look at my picture on YouTube, there's a road out there, and back in the 70s, if you could carry that road with your driver, it was a great tee shot. Well, Rory hit a cut 2-iron in there and said he just kind of hit it in easy, 340 to the edge of the green with a 2-iron. I mean, it's just a whole, technologically, it's just crazy to watch these guys play. But the British Open is the most fun to watch because crazy crap happens.
Really unique.
Really unique. I mean, the Masters is unique. The Open's unique. The PGA still struggles, but it plays on great courses now. But the Open is, especially on the links courses, and what a links course means for you folks that don't know. A definition is that if you look out, if you watch this on television, there's absolutely zero trees. The only tree you see is there in the background next to the hotel and apartments. The course has no trees. They're parklands for the people. They're closed on Sunday, and you can walk your dogs out there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Isn't that cool? And then on once a year, they turn around and you play it backwards. So they put the tee on the green, and the tee back here becomes the green. And I mean, it's that would be the most fun to do if you've ever played it. I'd love to play a course backwards. I think that would be cool.
A lot of fun traditions, a nod to the heritage of the game. It's really well done.
Yeah. Well,
and a perfect time in the calendar too. That's the other thing. There's nothing else going on when the Open's happening. So they have the spotlight.
Okay, we'll finish it up with one other solo sport, unless you got some other topic. Tennis. So you just felt the transition at Wimbledon. We talked about it a podcast ago or so, but I think Serena wants to show up at the U.S. Open because she wants that to be her swan song. But I think that was adios to Serena. But you know what? And tennis is always amazing. They go, and then they just fall. And I think I felt bad for the Spaniard because I was going to say Agassi, and that's not who I meant. Who won the French and the Australian and had a chance for the Grand Slam, and he hurt his ankle, or he tore his abdominal muscle, and
Nadal, Nadal,
yeah, Rafael Nadal, and so he tore his abdominal muscle, and he had to drop out of the semifinals and gave the other guy a straight right in. And then, it'll be interesting because so now he can't win the Grand Slam in 1 year. The only guy who did that, I think, was Laver, long time ago in the 60s. But the interesting part now is Federer's been out for a year because he hurt his knee. He's not even ranked. But I
forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to come back next year. And Nadal may play in the U.S. Open. And Djokovic couldn't play in the Australian, and he can't play in New York because he wasn't vaccinated. So he can't go back to Australia next. He was deported.
That was a whole legal tiff. Yeah, that was the whole thing.
So they're all up there kind of tied for the most wins. And it may be that none of them get another one. Well, somebody, Nadal could win the U.S. Open if he's okay, but that may be it. I don't know. I know.
When did these athletes find all the time to become epidemiologists, by the way?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, that's a different conversation. Everyone's an expert, right? Everyone's an expert on everything.
Everybody's an expert. Don't get me going. You know me. Don't get me going on the vaccines and subtypes and all that stuff because
you're just a doctor. You're just a medical doctor.
I'm just tired of hearing. Well, I'm just a dumb surgeon, so we don't know. We claim we don't know anything about that. So that We got anything else you wanted to talk about, Billy?
No, just rate, review, subscribe, everybody.
Yeah, like I said, get the podcast on wherever you hear your podcast. And we're on YouTube too. I got to finish this out with a quote. Here you go. Golf is the closest game to the game we call life. You get bad breaks from good shots. You get good breaks from bad shots, but you have to play the ball where it lies.
Hell yeah.
And that's a quote from Bobby Jones.
I love that one.
Yeah. So, and and just in terms of Bobby Jones, this is why I'm not Bobby Jones, because this is my I guess you can't see it, but this is a club I keep.
Oh, I see it. It's snapped off there.
Yeah, somebody snapped that off. I don't know.
It's like a fishing pole. You should put a little line on there.
Yeah, it's a Northwestern club, so it's been a while since I would have used that. Well, Billy, it's been great. I'll look forward to seeing you the next time. Folks, tune in for Picking and Putting whenever Bill and I show up. I know we're not as consistent, but we have fun doing it, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Picking and Putting.
Yeah, and if anybody's in the Southern Outer Banks next week and you hear the song Baker Street, feel free to walk towards that. We got a beer for you.
Yeah, there you go. Free beer. You got to go, folks.
Na, 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 na.
Okay, Billy, we'll see you later, man.
Bye.
Enjoyed it.